welcome to episode 3 of Highence, a show where me, not an expert, just a guy who likes to learn, smokes weed and tries to explain some science stuff. Today we're talking about why is the water blue? Why is it?
Oh my god, science is so intense, it's Highence.
Okay, so why is the water blue? A lot of people think that the water is blue because, it reflects the sky, and the sky is blue. And, sort of, I guess, but not really. So the sky is blue for a very similar reason as to why the water's blue, but also different. So the sun is made up of white light. The reason people, like losers who don't have friends, are like, well, white actually a tint, is because it's not a color. It's the embodiment of all the colors, and black is a shade because it is the absence of colors. And so there is what we call the visible light spectrum. So that goes red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet, I think. Yeah, that's right. It's a rainbow. You've heard of them. Ever heard of rainbows? No? I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. Pink Floyd's album Dark Side of the Moon, where you can see the white light going into the prism and it shoots out into the color spectrum, the rainbow. That's kind of the thing. And then on each side there is what is invisible to us but is still projected by light, which is infrared on this side and ultraviolet on this side. So and light moves in waves, and the colors actually have different wavelengths. So it's a wave and it has length. We figured that one out. That's been episode 3 of no. So on the red side of the spectrum, the waves are shorter, and on the violet side of the spectrum, the wavelengths are longer. Why does that matter? Well, we'll get to that in a second. So when the light from the sun comes shooting at us, it's coming in white light. This color of the sun, not yellow. It's actually white. Gotcha. There's a camera there. There. You should see the look on your stupid fucking face. So the white light comes blasting into our atmosphere, and our atmosphere is made up of oxygen and nitrogen. I think it's like 70% nitrogen, something like that. But then there's also in the air, there's all these particles, like pollution, dust, smoke. And when the light hits those particles, the particles in the atmosphere are actually the same wavelength as the blue light waves. So basically what that means is when it hits those particles, it scatters and colors up the sky, and it actually is making our atmosphere glow in blue because the blue can't go through but everything else does. That's pretty cool. It's very similar as to why the ocean is blue, because one variable is depth and one variable is what's in the water, because that can all affect it. So this goes back to the wavelengths thing. This is a wavelength episode. Do you think surfers ever talk about wavelength? And I had like a kind of punchline to that, but it disappeared. Oh, I'm probably gonna not edit that out. Fuck. So when the white light comes through the atmosphere, glowing up our atmosphere. Oh, and actually this is why when light goes through the atmosphere, the blue scatters. And so when the sun's right above us, that's why the sky is like the most sky blue ever, like at noon, because it has just like this much atmosphere to travel through. But when it's starting to set, when it's over there, it has all of this atmosphere to go through. So it has a lot more, and so the blue gets scattered more, and the red and the yellow wavelengths make it to us, and that's why we see sunset. We're losing the blue because of so much atmosphere, but the reds and the yellows, the oranges, they're making it right through. They're coming right for you, baby. They're like, blue, you can have lunchtime, but us, we're fucking romantic. We're waiting for sunset. And blue's like, what's that? And they're like, you'll see. My riffs tonight they're not great. And so why water is blue is because when that white light comes down and hits the ocean or whatever water, it scatters. And the red wavelengths don't make it very far down. The blue wavelengths make it far down. So that's why this is a kind of a party trick if you're like a loser who wants to lose friends at a party instead of make them. What you can do is you can be like, see that chord there? What color is that? And they'd be like, it's orange. And then you could be like, actually, no, it's not. And then you lose friends before you could even explain it. But the explanation is that we see the reflection of the light from the sun or from white light hit an object, and objects absorb the wavelengths of light except for the one that you see. So that chord is actually absorbing all of the color wavelengths except for orange. It's reflecting, so that's why it looks orange to us, but really it's every other color. Will you be my friend? So yeah, so the water absorbs the blue, and no, it reflects it. Dan, do you not know this subject? No, I do. I'm just really baked. I do know it. I do. Just give me a second. This should have been me at every single test in high school. No, just give me a second. I'll get it. 3 plus 6. Fuck. I went to a very terrible high school. They did not teach us very much. Just basic addition. I'm so off track. Okay, so water. Okay, so I'm back. Maybe we'll see. The water it's like a mirror, right? It doesn't really have a color. When you take a scoop of the blue ocean, it's clear, right? That's everyone has seen a glass of water. It never looks blue unless you're like, am I drinking Windex again? So it's very reflective. When the wavelengths come down, the red doesn't go very far in water. So like the red wavelengths actually go down. I think it's like 10 meters or something like that, and then you just lose them. So like if you're to take an apple, which reflects the red wavelengths, and bring it down in the water with you, past where the red wavelengths can hit, the apple actually turns black because it can't reflect the color it likes to reflect. It's like, oh, that was my thing. Who am I now? The apple's like, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow all over me. So the water reflects blue light strongly back the same way that an apple would reflect red light back at you. So the blue comes to us and we see blue. Okay, cool. Kind of same as the atmosphere, sort of. But there's different kinds of water, right? There's, of course, we know blue water, but there's also like dirty water. There's like the Red River in Winnipeg, like it's brown. There's like green water, and sometimes you'll even see in an ocean, you'll see like a sharp cutoff of this part's blue, and then this part's kind of green, and then this part is darker blue. So what's that about? Well, good question. Glad you brought that up. Basically, I don't know. No, I do know. Give me a second. Oh, it's a cat. I think this is the most high I've gotten for one of these. It's a challenge this time. How many errors are there gonna be? I don't think many. I'm getting this right, I think. Okay, so what did I just stop saying? The different colors in the water. Okay, so well, that depends on what's in the water the same way as it depends on what's in the atmosphere. Like, for instance, in water, there's a lot of algae and phytoplanktons. Why do I do these? Yeah, so phytoplanktons. Jesus. Phytoplanktons work with photosynthesis. So they turn green, and sometimes they turn red, kind of like trees do. And actually, phytoplanktons in the ocean and waters actually give us, like, I think more than half of the oxygen that we breathe in the planet, which is crazy. That's why we need our oceans. And they are also the very bottom of the food chain, which means without them, we would literally not be here. We could not exist without them. So take a moment out of your day to thank your local phytoplanktons. And so they can shift the color of the water green, even red at times. And then there's brown water, which of course can be like mud and earth and shit like that. But mud and earth, the more you know. Oh, and then also sometimes in tropical areas when you see right through the water, it's because it's shallow and not a lot of particles in it. So the red light can actually come down to the earth and reflect back up, and it kind of makes it clear because you're seeing kind of all the colors at once. You're seeing the whole visible light spectrum in those clear spots, which is really beautiful. But sometimes it can be different colors of blue, and that has to do with depth. So depth plays a factor because if it's very deep, the blues and the violet, they just keep on going forever, and they scatter and scatter and scatter deeper and richer. So if it's a darker blue, it means it's probably a bit deeper. So sometimes you can actually see cutoffs, and then currents and shit also play a factor. Is that how I'm gonna end it? I feel like editing this is gonna be a real fucking nightmare. Why did I do that to my future self? Oh, this might not be the video I use. Who knows? I'm sure it will be because I've had a blast. Oh man, this has been Highence. Should I get a Patreon?